We started this talking about American crisis. We pointed to the latest poll of Americans, the optimism dropping by more than 20 points just since May. What's the cause? The cause of that drop are Democratic policies being enacted by winning the White House and the Senate. We've watched inflation grow based upon what the Democrats have done. Pelosi may not feel it because her husband just made $5 million in a month buying options on technology stock while Congress debated it. We watched their defunding of the police, crime rising in every city across America. That even the former liberal Senator Barbara Boxer now has the effect of being robbed in Oakland. We watched the borders get opened up to a crisis that we've never seen the size in 20 years. We watched the variant come back in people that are not vaccinated based upon these individuals being moved throughout the country. We watched wokeism knock down our military. These are things that we're going to fight and put America back on the right pace. We just need to make sure we fire Nancy Pelosi. Yeah. With that, let's take some questions. Yes, sir.
You mentioned all of the various crises that are happening under the Biden administration. Can you point to a single thing that President Biden has done right since taking office?
When I point out the challenges, there wasn't one piece of legislation passed when it came to the border. And now we have a border crisis greater than we've had in 20 years. But the one thing that did happen was executive orders. He's actually spent taxpayers' money, billions of dollars, stopping finishing the wall. The Democrats passed a defunding of police. We now watch crime rising in every single location. The president we met with, that we wanted to keep our past to be energy independent. We now watched him shut down a pipeline that he promised he would not do. We watched Russia get a pipeline. We watched the eastern coast of the United States actually bring natural gas in from Russia, even though American gas is 42% cleaner. We watched the president time again when he was sworn in said he was going to work in a bipartisan method. But time again we found the lack of any opportunity to have that discussion. We saw a speaker get her most narrowest majorities ever, even narrower after the election on Tuesday. Instead of working across the other side, she imposes fines, she calls names, she narrows the ability for the American public to actually have input. I haven't found very many things that they have done right, no. If the president asked my advice, had he done nothing since he took office, optimism would be up 20%, not down.
Leader McCarthy, Leader McConnell had similar authority over congressional security officials on January 6th. So why do you keep blaming Speaker Pelosi for all the security failures that day? And does Leader McConnell have carry any responsibility as well for that?
That's interesting. In the Senate, vaccinated Americans don't have to wear a mask, but in the House you do. So I guess there's a difference. It's not the same. We see time and again of reports that as of December 14th, they knew there would be a challenge. We've watched Speaker Pelosi politicize medicine, just as she's doing right now. We've watched the Sergeant of Arms have to pass a note to the Speaker during the altercations on January 6th of whether to call the National Guard. We hear reports that prior to that, the National Guard was offered to her, and we hear the Sergeant at Arms said the optics were not right. We've watched Speaker Pelosi say during the riots of the summer, the disgust she had to seeing National Guard protecting the Lincoln Memorial. So yes, it's fundamentally different. Yes, if there's a responsibility for this Capitol on this side, it rests with the Speaker and the House administration. The House administration is solely appointed of the Democrats by the Speaker. It's interesting that she puts 3 of them on the committee. Zoe Lofgren, the chair of the committee, once proxy voting took effect, never came back to Washington. What does that mean? Starting in May, she was never here until the day of swearing in to vote for a speaker. Even though IG reports talked about Capitol Police needed reform, they need better training. Even though the Republican on the committee ranking, Rodney Davis, produced legislation she would never bring up for a hearing. So yes, it does rest with them. all the effects. January 6th should not have happened. Those Capitol Police officers should not have to go through what they did. This line was broken in the Kavanaugh debates, but no change was taken since then. In the 6 months that Nancy Pelosi played politics, the Senate, not one but two committees, bipartisan, looked at this. This has always been a partisan play. She picked Benny Thompson, who says it's all open except the speaker. You can't question her. The power rests there. That's why we bring it up, because that's where the facts take us. Yes, ma'am. No, I think if they had the 5 members that we, the Republicans, want to put on there, we'd gladly go. If this is just going to be a DCCC, we see it just as a sham. It's not something that's serious. Yes. I think from the standpoint that we wanted to make sure that resources were brought here as fast as possible. When I called the president, I was telling him about what was happening in the Capitol, because none of you would know unless you were in the Capitol. Lo and behold, the information we have today, I didn't know at that moment in time that Pelosi had been passed a note. Can you call the National Guard? I didn't know at that time, at December 14th, they knew. I didn't know at that time the Sergeant at Arms said he couldn't have it because of optics, because they never spoke to us. It's purely a political position that the Speaker controls and the House administration. She will go at no elms to break the rules. We watched time and again where she told the American public they couldn't get a haircut except for her. We told her that she fights for the Americans, but they make $5 million in less than a month trading stock options, not stocks, but stock options on tech companies that were debating inside the House that the only reason the market went up, that they made that money, was the outcome of the stocks, the outcome of the bills. We've watched time and again that she wants to inflict punishment on the floor. Fine people who are vaccinated, who wear a mask, but that's not based on science. If you question and point the science out, that it's a study that's not printed, based upon India, on a vaccine that's not in America, that hasn't been peer-reviewed, she calls you a moron. That is not a speaker for America. That's a speaker only concerned about her own wealth, her own direction, and her own control. This is the people's house, not Pelosi's house. Thank you.